back inside the Now Morning Show. We are getting ready to head to Tobago. Of course, it's Tobago Thursdays, and we're going to put Tadco inside your spotlight on Now.
Now, the Tobago Agribusiness Development Company, or Tadco, is a special purpose company under the purview of the Tobago House of Assembly, its division of food security, natural resources, the environment, and sustainable development. And the company was formed on October 1st, 2020. And this morning, we're joined by its Chief Executive Officer, Deonecio Salazar, and Chairman of the Capital of Paradise, Mr. Ricardo Alfred, to speak about some of the initiatives of Tadco. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Now.
Yes, hi, good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to come to you first, Mr. Salazar, just to give us an overview of the company. As I understand, it was launched in 2020, but tell us about some of the initiatives and the mission of Tadco.
Okay, so first I want to make a correction. Mr. Ricardo Alfred is the chairman of the company. He's part of the
chairman of the company. Right, so he's...
Secondly,
right.
The mission and vision of Tadco effectively is food security on the island of Tobago through developing the sector and developing participants in the sector, primary producers such as farmers and agro-processors, those persons who take raw materials from farmers and process them and create an added value product. And our vision and mission basically is to create not just the added value product or work with them to create the added value product, but also to transfer that product into the market space, bring it onto the market, not just locally, but regionally and globally. So Tadco's vision is basically, and mission is basically to take everything that is Tobago grown and create it and bring it into the market with a unique selling proposition.
And so tell us about some of the... Of course. And tell us about some of the initiatives at the company. I know there's the poultry initiative and a few others. Can you speak to that?
Right. So what we have is contract farming. That's one of our main initiatives in order to bring quantities and quality product on the island into the market space. So we have partnered with several stakeholders in the sector, for example, Namdesco, Kariri, Kadi. We also have partnered with other entities that will allow for research and development in order for us to build capacity on the island, as well as provide financing. So, for example, the ADB. What we have done is basically allow for farmers to be able to get access to the needs in order to develop, and not just farmers, but agro-processors, so that they can develop their products or services within the sector. Our biggest contract farming initiative right now is with major players in the poultry sector out of Trinidad, where we're able to provide farmers with feed and chicks as well as medication, so as to engage in poultry contract farming. Poultry, as you know, is the cheapest form of protein. It is also the fastest turning over livestock. It is globally the second largest industry in the farming community in agriculture. And in Trinidad and Tobago, it is very well known that it's successful. So what we have done is we've brought the model on the island, and it's a bit to create a socio-economic space in whereby farmers in the project can develop themselves and hone the skills and become full-time fledged persons in poultry production, as opposed to what presently obtains where persons do this part-time and it's ad hoc. So we want to move away from that and structure the poultry sector in a way that it creates both direct and indirect economic activity associated with the development of the poultry sector on the island of Tobago.
Now, Mr. Salazar, I understand, Mr. Salazar, I think I understand there's also, is there a Capital of Paradise vessel operator training? I wondered if the chairman can weigh in on this one.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, hi, good morning to all again. Right, so the Capital of Paradise is a long-line vessel, mainly used for fishing. Our target species is something called yellowfin tuna. We would have been launched back into operation after the vessel was down for a number of years. in terms of increasing our foreign exchange coming into the company, and also creating a product that is sustainable. For most people who don't know what the yellowfin tuna is, it's a fish that is in high demand on the European market and on the American market.
Right.
So this vessel is one of the larger vessels in Trinidad and Tobago. They are currently out at sea right now. They are just about 200 nautical miles just off of Suriname, and they are engaged in the activities. So we do catch other fish, which is known as the bycatch. This definitely will come to the island in terms of with the aim of supplying the school feeding program, the hotels, and a few persons who would want to buy fish at a reasonable price. Just to give you an example of what the yellowfin tuna normally sells at on the market, is normally between $9 to $15, depending on the grade. So that's where we are as relates to capital of paradise. We do have some training. We do have some young people that is engaged in it. The aim in mind really is to get people away from the pirogue fishing and get them more into the mothership as relates to fishing, creating a proper industry that is able to be sustainable. So that's where we are with the capital of paradise.
Yeah. Now, Mr. Alfred, I know that Mr. Salazar had started off with some of the workshops. Are there any workshops as it relates to that? Now, you mentioned you wanted to train them so that they can get to the mothership level, but what other sort of workshops are available for those interested in the agribusiness, in the fishing business, that sort of thing?
Right. So what needs to happen is that we definitely would have to work with the average fisherman and the average farmer in terms of making them understand finances. So we are going to be engaging through the bank, of course, in terms of getting them set up, in terms of understanding how to do accounts, how to have proper bookkeeping, because these are some requirements that the bank would require. So we're actually going to be engaged in a few of these seminars in terms of financial education or financial, getting persons to understand what they have to do. In terms of the fishing side, it is important that persons are trained. So currently, the captain of these vessels is a small vessel. You normally would have to do a certification in terms of a boat master or a launch captain certification. So we're definitely going to be getting fishermen trained in terms of understanding the different roles that a captain plays on the merchant type of operation. So
yeah,
how to plot courses, understanding the different types of equipment, things like the radar, understanding the GPS, how to use the satellite, because the longline industry is now regulated. There's going to be, as well as some new initiatives as relates to catching bait. The bait is also a regulated industry. Currently, most vessels from Trinidad and Tobago have to traverse to St. Vincent or Grenada in terms of getting bait.
right.
We have to create an industry right here in Trinidad and Tobago as relates to bait. Bait is a very lucrative industry. We are in the process of getting an equipment that is geared towards catching the bait, and then we can create a new industry and have other employment as relates to getting the fishermen involved. As relates to the farmers, as you would know that most of the farmers are, the average farmer in Trinidad and Tobago is, I think it's the number is in their 60s. So we have to do something in terms of getting the young people involved, in terms of see themselves not as farmers, but as businessmen involved in the farming trade.
Yeah.
This is the type of industry that we have to be doing. We are going to be doing something as relates to getting farm certification. This is in collaboration with NAMDEFCO. So when persons' farms are certified, they will definitely be able to see their farm on the bigger market, and persons who would want to buy from them will definitely understand this farm has reached certain standards and certain initiatives in terms of making their farms certified. So it's all about building capacity.
Mr. Alfred, can you hear me? I'm so sorry to cut you, but you mentioned that collaboration, and I wanted the CEO to weigh in on this because I know that there's a thrust for that public-private partnership. And so, Mr. Salazar, can you jump in here and talk about how the company is going to leverage that sort of partnership to ensure that Tadco is able to complete its mission?
So thus far, we have been successful with our stakeholder collaborations with NAMDEFCO and many of the major players in the poultry sector. that has translated into a transfer of knowledge between Tadco and those entities that we have partnered with. In the thrust now towards public-private partnership is really about creating a sector that is self-sufficient. So in order to create that sector, we must show that the persons that we engage, and even Tadco as an entity, has the capacity to take persons to that next level. So it's really going to be a transfer of, in terms of public-private partnership, we're looking for where our best match will occur in terms of the partnership. How do we develop a partnership that could then allow for farmers, agro-processors, and, for example, the Capital Paradise to all contribute significantly to the country's GDP to develop an industry that can compete in a global context. So what we are looking for now in a public-private partnership is something that will allow for not just operations locally, but globally, and also to employ and bring in technologies as well as financing, I will not discount that, so that we can leverage and go forward in the future and create a successful and sustainable sector.
Mr. Salazar, I wonder if you can share costs with us, because I know that we would have mentioned the vessel that's out there. And of course, I understand it may take a lot to actually put this whole operation into play. I mean, can you share with us some costs it may take to just run this organization to ensure that we have everything working, that we get our yellowfin tuna, that sort of thing?
I would leave that for the chair to do it, because
Mr. Alfred. Over to you, Mr. Alfred.
Yes. What we have to understand is that we are definitely looking at the private and the type of the PPP arrangement. This is very important as relates to the finances right now. What the company does, just to give you a brief thing. So what we offer at Tadco is that we offer storage in terms of dry storage. We offer cold storage facilities. We offer warehousing space. We also offer products. So Mr. Salazar would have been speaking of the different initiatives that we are doing. So there's things like the cassava cake. I'm not sure if you are fortunate enough to try that, but it's
I have never tried it, but I've heard about it. Yes.
Yes. And then we have things like the cassava bread, the different initiatives that we are doing that we sell here from the agro processors. The aim of this really is to, well, yes, you have the different types of waffle mix, the different, bread,
the fruit cakes.
The aim of yes, and the dashing cereal. So the aim of this really is that there is going to be a shortage of wheat, that we are following, what's happening on the global market. So we're trying to get the taste buds of the average person in Trinidad and Tobago accustomed to these type of wonderful products that we have coming from Tobago.
Nice.
Now let's get straight to the. I know you had mentioned costs. To run an operation like Tadco, because in the past it was seen as the government getting involved in these type of initiatives. So what we want to do is encourage private sector involvement. Let them see how they could come in to help us. If they see us as a landlord, if they see us as coming in terms of equity, all these things can be worked out. The company would have been doing some stuff in terms of generating income. Over a number of years, the rent that we used to collect was very archaic and very primitive in terms of the cost. So what we would have done in terms of increasing the rent over a period. So just to give you some figures, number of years, it was $5 a square foot. We said, listen, today we had a meeting with the tenants. It's not sustainable to have such low rent. So what we would have done is increase the rent over a 3-year period. So it went to $8 and it went to $10. So that's where we are now in terms of making the tenants understand that it's going to be a gradual process that we're going to be doing. We're not just throwing it down the throat. We would have increased our cold storage rates as well. Before it was like 23 cents a kilogram.
Right.
I mean, these things cannot, it cannot be sustainable because the electricity to run these type of equipments costs a lot of money. So we're trying to ease the state really by making the company not just profitable, but economical as well. So
Yeah.
we would have had a lot of reducers. In terms of overheads, we have our forklifts running properly. We have the cold storage equipment running. We have the blast freezer that is running. We have, more security on the compound. The aim of this really is to make the company economical while
Yeah.
reducing that stress that goes on to the government. So
Now,
we are
Mr.
doing a
Alfred,
lot of
what I'm
initiatives
hearing from
as
you,
well.
Mr.
We have
Alfred, is
something
that
called
there are a lot
food
of
hub.
costs that you really have to deal with, and so you're looking forward to that public-private partnership. Unfortunately,
Yes,
gentlemen,
yes.
we are out of time, but I have to ask you, Mr. Alfred, because you did pique my interest. Where can we get those lovely products to buy in Trinidad?
So currently, we are looking at some types of distributors that could definitely make the product available in Trinidad. That will
Right.
be on coming very soon. Um, Currently, we do have some persons who are taking it. But fortunately, we have this in Tobago right now. But
Nice.
we are looking at some distributors to
Yes.
come and take some of these lovely products to the wonderful persons across on our sister isle.
In Trinidad. Mr. Alfred, let me thank you so much, Chairman of the company, and of course to Mr. Deonecio Salazar, the CEO. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, gentlemen, and all the best. And I know we're going to be chatting with you pretty soon again. Have a good one.
Okay, thank you very much, Rob.
And that was some representatives from Tadco. We had Deonecio Salazar, the CEO, and Ricardo Alfred, the chairman, just telling us about some of the mission, the initiatives, and of course the costs to operate such a business as Tadco. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to take a break and be right back. Stay with us.